Greetings, it's September 6th of 2016, and we're here for our regularly scheduled Brattleboro Selectboard meeting. We know that the meeting's been officially warned because we convened at 5:15 and went into executive session to discuss contracts, labor agreements, real estate matters, where general premature public knowledge would have placed the town and others involved at a substantial disadvantage. We didn't make any decisions during the executive session. Now we've risen from the executive session. We're here for public meeting. I want to welcome everybody who's in attendance. It's good to see so many people here. I know that we have a swearing-in ceremony coming, so welcome everybody. And I want to welcome everybody who's watching us on television, whether live or rebroadcast later on. I want to welcome members of the press and BCTV operators and our ASL interpreters. The first item on tonight's agenda is to approve the minutes from August 16th. Do we have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
We have a motion to approve the minutes from August 16th as presented. Does the board, anybody on the board have any questions or comments about those minutes? Anybody in attendance have any questions or comments about those minutes? All those in favor of approving the minutes from August 16th as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed or abstaining? That carries 5-0. The next item on the agenda is chair's remarks. I'll just note that school's back in session, and we ask everybody please to drive slowly and safely. The Elliott Street Bridge is open. That was a great collaborative project. There's a lot of other public works projects that are unfolding and that we hope to have finished before foliage is too busy and the snow flies. Western Avenue has been milled, and a good part of the pavement has actually been taken up on Bonnievale Road. There's also going to be paving on Upper Dummerston Road, so we ask everybody to be patient as we make our way through these construction projects. And welcome all the tourists who are going to be coming through at the end of the month. The next item on tonight's agenda is the town manager's comments.
Thank you. Two things this evening. I wanted to first extend an invitation, a last call, so to speak, for comments to the comprehensive review of town operations to the public. We have received some comments in response to our prior request. And it's been helpful to see the perspective that some members of the public have been expressing to us. But the deadline is this coming Friday, September 9th. We're hoping to receive some more public input before the deadline comes so that we get as much participation as possible in looking at the report. Staff will first review those comments that we receive and then bring a recommended revised CRTO document to the Select Board for consideration later this month or at the October 4th meeting, depending on the volume, the final volume of comments. And the other item is an announcement of something that happened in our fire department, actually, but symptomatic of what's going on with computer systems around the world, and we're not immune to that. Our system was hacked in the fire department back on August 22nd. It's a common type of intrusion into a computer system where the people who gain access don't actually take something, but they freeze the data that is on the host server. So they encrypted some data at the fire department server and then sent a message to the town asking for a ransom to be paid in order to unencrypt the data. I was actually in Montpelier at a meeting at the time, and Patrick Moreland received that news and collaborated well with the right people, the fire department and the police department, actually, as a criminal matter, and with our IT consultants. And together they determined that, our first instinct was that we didn't want to pay a ransom for this kind of conduct, but we needed to assess the data that had been encrypted and whether or not that could be recreated or whether or not it was possible to move forward and leave behind some of what had been lost. In fact, we determined that we could do that. Patrick then was in communication with me that the team had decided that it didn't appear that we needed to pay this ransom. We didn't want to pay this ransom, and I completely agreed with that. And so we didn't. And within a day or two, the IT folks had put the fire department systems all fully back into service. And meanwhile, the fire department has put a lot of extra effort into recreating those documents that they needed to recreate. There was only a limited amount of more sensitive data related to payroll information, employee information that was included, and so all the firefighters have been advised about that. Much of what got frozen was actually more administrative type documents, that memos and letters and other kinds of reports, and so that was a main reason, main factor in the determination that we could just move forward and that it wouldn't be right to pay the ransom. And so we're moving forward from this. The good news around IT is that we have made some significant improvements in the security of the town system during the last several weeks. The irony, the unfortunate irony in this situation is that many of those improvements had already been made, but we weren't quite finished yet. And the fire department server was one of the additional locations where the additional security measures needed to be taken. We were literally within a couple of days of arriving at that location when this happened. And so it did happen. We dealt with it. We moved on from it. The systems, like any computer systems anywhere, are not impenetrable, but we're far better protected now than we were earlier in the summer. And having addressed the security concerns that we had previously identified, we're now putting the finishing touches on the IT improvement plan for the functional and operational improvements that we believe we can make in connecting our remote sites better to each other and upgrading our systems and our software to better serve the public. We will have that plan finished within the next month or so and ready for select board review and public review, we hope, in October.
Thank you, Peter. The next item on the agenda is select board comments and committee reports. Anybody on select board have any comments or committee reports?
I'll go after you. You have something? Yeah, go.
And I'll be brief because I want to get to the ceremony. But I do want to give a little bit fuller report to the budgeting process from the Waste Management District this year. So here are some quick details and some early numbers. We talked about the first draft of the budget. We were considering additional revenue. We're going to increase the out-of-district fees for towns that, particularly from New Hampshire and up north, that send us materials. It's mostly cardboard recyclable, which is actually valuable, but we're going to increase that fee anyway. We're talking about charging a $10 fee for hazardous waste. We're going to be averaging the actuals over the last several years to figure out what we can anticipate in revenue from the recycled materials rather than trying to project that based on nothing. We have a new contract for cardboard, which I think will also, we expect will bring in some additional revenue. We're not including yet the increase in the hauling fee that all the towns will be paying, and anybody else that hauls to us will be paying. And we're going to look at regional tipping fees to see where ours should be if it's set at the right rate at $130. We're going to evaluate the increases in the hauling service and then see what effect that has on the towns as well as the haulers. As far as expenses, there's a 2% salary increase. We did cut overtime, and we probably will cut the rest of it. And we're reducing the temporary workers. Health insurance is going to be up 7%. Workers' comp is going to go down from the $112,000 that it is, but that was, I don't remember the exact number, but it was something like an $80,000 increase over what had been paid in the previous 3 or 4 year assessment, which really hammered the budget there last year. It'll be down, but it's still going to be a lot of money. And we're reducing the truck maintenance, not to the point where the trucks are going to fall apart, but just less frequently and trying to do a little bit more of it in-house. So the first draft came out to almost 1.6 million, and with reductions and the hacking away that we did in the first meeting, it's down to about $1.5 million. Our assessment, if it stayed that way, would be 17%. So, and everybody else's too would be up, but it would be up that much. We didn't factor in obviously the workers' comp, but we didn't factor in any capital costs for the repairs and improvements to the MRF because it didn't seem practical to do that at this point, given how much it's up just based on regular costs. So we talked for a long time about that, and what we did was direct the staff to, the finance committee did, not the board yet, to prepare 2 budgets. One will include the MRF, the continuing recycling, and a second would not include the operation of the MRF. It would include the cost of mothballing it, making it not degrade while we stop to see what happened. And we're hoping that the second budget, that the non-MRF budget will encourage the towns to have a look at the real costs, what it would cost them to do the services through contract rather than through the waste district, and consider their options, and then we're gonna go from there.
So it sounds like a single stream system.
We'll see. Well, what'll happen is everybody will have to contract with somebody
Right.
because it's $1 million to change that to single stream.
Right.
But by mothballing it, if the single stream costs went through the roof, it made sense to do it again, then we would.
Right.
And a number of single streams have closed, and some have opened, some dual stream have
Exactly.
opened, so there's really still no final conclusion about which is the way that's gonna go.
I know that Dick had comments and John had comments, but Kate wanted to ask a question.
Yes.
What happened to them coming and seeing us in June or July? Did I miss that whole thing? Didn't we have this big thing when they were here and there's gonna be this analysis and
They were gonna have
and they were gonna come
Yeah.
here?
Yeah, and the analysis is still underway. It isn't complete. We're talking, at this point, we looked through all, and Patrick, fill in the gaps here for whatever I forget, because Patrick was deeply involved in the process. We came up with several different assessment options, sticking with population, doing it by grand list, doing it by housing units. I think might even have been another one. And then combinations of those to see who would win, who would lose, and what seemed to be fair. And we got an actual hourly rate for trucking. We were able to assign values to different, realistic values within, there's estimates, but we're confident they're pretty close, to the administrative cost, to how much the convenience center earns, all of those things, to itemize those expenses and those costs, and then look at what the towns are paying for them. And then what they would pay under some other system of assessment.
I'd like to have them come
But
in.
it's not completed yet, and the board hasn't had a chance to act on it yet. I think our work we finished by June, didn't we?
Yep.
Because what bothers me is I feel like we do this every year and we're not given, now I feel like we're not given enough time to analyze the budget. I'm really frustrated by the whole thing because I just sort of feel like we thought June so that we could have time as a town to assess how we wanted to go. And now I feel like it's September and we're gonna be up against we're just gonna have to go along with, you know what I mean? I just
Yeah,
sort of
I do,
feel,
and
I don't know
just-
when we're
just-
gonna get
right.
out of the rut of us not being able to make a decision based on
Well,
how we
can
wanna
make a
do it.
decision. That's the thing,
Well,
we do
right.
have options.
Hopefully this will be the year. I think it's important to look at the way the district responded, because we did spend the entire summer, a couple of meetings a month, going over the assessments and evaluating all the costs of services, and started the budget process on August 25th. So instead of waiting for October, we started in August. We're meeting again Thursday night to look at the with and without MRF, and then it's gonna come to the towns for conversation.
And
We'll have a number well before January.
My recollection is that over the summer, in executive session, the results of that analysis were preliminarily discussed in the broader context of contract issues relating to our hauler and our relationship with the solid waste management district. We can have some sort of public presentation here to the extent that it's public information about the alternatives that would be available for different potential assessment models. And maybe we should do that in the context of other budgeting related issues as they come back from the district. But I think there was some report back on those issues, but it was in a context of contract related discussions we were having.
right.
And I remember I didn't understand the graph. That's the
Right.
only thing I couldn't, you know what I mean? I didn't get it at the time.
If I could just add
Please,
to that, because what makes this year different from prior years is that body of work that's been completed. So while at one time we did talk about actually hearing from the district and potentially making some decisions ourselves in the summer months, what the chair has just reminded everybody is right, that the results of that work didn't yield a different model to say either it should be yes or it should be no on that model. What it yielded was a lot of really useful information where they drilled down very deeply into the cost of various components of the overall service so that every town, not just Brattleboro, but every town can make a more informed judgment about whether staying in this system within the district or independent contracting makes more sense for our particular community. And in that context, we've got additional research that's ongoing simultaneous with the additional work that's going on at the district, so that as we get into decision-making regarding our own budget over the next few months, it won't feel like the same old discussion of it's the last minute and we don't really have options. It'll actually be a very fully informed discussion about the options.
We're all set with the district for now? Dick?
All right, thank you. I would like to thank Scott Borofsky. Back in, I believe, June, Patrick was making a presentation to us about the Harmony Lot, and I had brought up the walls where the artwork is in the Harmony Lot and what disrepair they're in. And lo and behold, Scott Borofsky has taken on that project, and he actually has one section refurbished, the Brattleboro 05301 section, and there is a plan to get the rest of the wall refurbished. And I know he's looking for some funds, and I'm going to see if we can funnel him some money through DBA and also personally if I have to, because I think it's such an important project and such a visual part of our downtown. So I just wanted to acknowledge him and thank him for him taking on that project, and do everything we can to support it. Thank you.
John?
So you'll understand where I'm going with this in a minute.
Maybe.
Maybe. You may not. Our youngest son was married last weekend in town, and they chose southern Vermont because a lot of the people were coming from cities. And so there was 150 people at the wedding, and you'll understand where I'm going with this in a minute. But about 120 or 125 were from out of town. We're from Pennsylvania and Oregon and a lot of other places way away from here. And I'm not plugging the Latches, but we had booked the whole Latches, so everybody was downtown, basically. And I'll tell you, the reports back from everybody, kudos to Brattleboro. Fantastic. The restaurants, the stores, Missy's Place, I know that they went everywhere. And so about 125, 130 people just loved, could not say enough about Brattleboro. And it's, every now and then it's nice. We hear the bad things and we always hear the negative, and it was just remarkable to hear. So hats off to Brattleboro. Thank you very much.
So the 1% revenue is going to take a real
It's going to
swing.
take a hike. And you can thank, yes. No.
What do you want us to spend it on?
The next matter on the agenda is public participation. If anybody who's in attendance has something they want to talk about that's not on the agenda, this would be a good time. Anybody? Well then, the next item we have is the swearing-in ceremony for the Assistant Fire Chief, Lenny Howard. And it looks like there are some other people who are going to be participating in that ceremony. And looks like Annette's going to be presenting that. So why don't you all come on in?
Can we put this off to the end of the meeting? No, because look at the crowd we have. We don't ever get a crowd like this. I'm thinking not, huh? No.
She gets here all lined up.
Wow.
Guys look pretty sharp.
Come forward, you guys.
There you go.
Who's minding the shop?
Peter. Ready? Okay. We shall proceed. Lenny, if you want to raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, and state your name,
I, Leonard A. Howard III,
do solemnly affirm
solemnly affirm,
that I will faithfully
faithfully
execute the duties
execute the duties
of Assistant Fire
of
Chief
Assistant Fire Chief
for the town of Brattleboro
for the town of Brattleboro
for the period
for the period
for which I have been elected,
for which I have been elected,
and will therein
will therein
do equal right
do equal right
and justice
and justice
to all people,
to all people,
in the best of my judgment
in the best of my judgment,
and ability,
ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
There you go.
Speech.
We'll invite his wife, Becky, not quite finished, there's still a little more protocol to go. This is his wife, Becky, who will pin his badge on him.
Terrific. Now you have to go buy them all supper. No. No, because we couldn't have candles. They would have put it out. Well, there's our crowd. Yeah, thanks for staying.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about sewers.
Yeah,
Sure you wanna go?
and budget.
Thank you, guys. Try that one.
Lanny, you can leave.
No, I gotta stay.
He is leaving.
He'll be back.
There you go.
Does he have to stay for the police fire? No. No party?
Congratulations, Assistant Chief.
Oh, he is staying.
So the next item on the agenda
Yeah.
is to convene as Water and Sewer Commissioners. Do we have a motion to convene as Water and Sewer Commissioners? We have a motion to convene as Water and Sewer Commissioners. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? That carries 5-0. Peter?
Thank you. What we've got before you this evening is the first of 3 actions we're going to ask you to take over the next several weeks that will implement the settlement agreement that you approved on August 4th. This first action will close out the construction contract for the Black Mountain Road Gravity Sewer Project, and the other 2 elements are finishing touches that are outside of the construction contract. Specifically, what's before you tonight is we're asking you to authorize me to execute a change order and the releases, among the mutual releases that the parties are giving to each other, that will implement the settlement agreement. The full and final payment to Kingsbury is $725,000, as we had previously discussed back on August 4th. That's $184,075 of costs from the original contract, funds that had not been paid, that had been withheld during the dispute regarding the original contract. And the change order value is $540,925. That's for the additional services that were provided on the job. So by executing both the change order and the mutual release document, by the way, is been finalized by the 2 attorneys. The change order document is not quite final yet, but is close and is within the next couple of days will be finalized by all parties. When we have executed those 2 documents, then the settlement will be completed. There will be 2 additional aspects of work related to the project that still need to be completed. One will be paving the VFW parking lot. We estimate that cost to be about $15,000. We'll have a bid back before you before the summer's out, or before the paving season is over. And we also need to decommission and remove the pump station that exists, that's been replaced by this pipe, that exists at the edge of the Black Mountain Mobile Home Park. That pump station, we intend, in order to reduce the estimated $62,000 cost of decommissioning and removal, we intend to do the decommissioning ourselves with town staff. So there'll be work that'll be ongoing over the next few months related to that. We may not complete that work in time to actually demolish the station before winter. So the bidding for the demolition, we may be bringing back to you in the early part of next year's construction season to put a final wrap on this. There's some financial information that's included in my memorandum dated August 26 to you that we can go through in greater detail if you'd like, but basically just summarizes the component pieces of the settlement that has been previously described and approved. In addition to that, on the internet with the backup memorandum, we have redistributed to the public the settlement agreement itself and the document that we prepared that summarizes the chronology of events for this project and the costs and the lessons that we've learned that we hope will lead to more successful outcomes on similar projects in the future. So we're asking that you authorize me to execute the final change order to increase the amount of Black Mountain Road gravity sewer line construction contract with Kingsbury Companies by $540,924.84, and to execute the related mutual release document, and to take such other actions as may be required to implement the settlement agreement that was approved by the Select Board on August 4th, 2016.
So moved.
We have motion to authorize town manager to execute final change order and take other steps necessary to finalize the settlement with Kingsbury, including executing the mutual release. Is there any further comment or question from anybody on the board? Is there anybody who's in attendance who has any questions or comments about this matter? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed or abstaining?
Opposed?
That carries 4-1. Is there any other business to come in front of us as Water and Sewer Commissioners tonight? We're ready for motion to adjourn as Water and Sewer Commissioners.
So moved.
We have a motion to adjourn as Water and Sewer Commissioners. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed or abstaining? That carries 5-0. Next matter on the agenda is
Those crazy boys.
Police Fire Facilities Project Update. Peter.
The news at the West Brattleboro Fire Station is good. Progress is being made with the building of the foundation there and the other site work. We have not encountered any additional unexpected issues that are going to require any action or further funds to be authorized at this time by the Select Board or by me. In the last couple of weeks, we haven't had anything that
No
required any
latent
change.
conditions?
No latent conditions.
There we go.
No, sir.
How about the roots?
So as reflected in the memorandum dated August 11th, there has been some progress made with the, I see actually that's, I updated my memorandum and I failed to update the date on it because I'm quoting from an August 11th memo that was actually prepared about August 25th. But in any event, in the middle of August, we made the additional progress on the foundation, and then you see the 4 bulleted items for the work that is expected to be completed as we go forward through the Labor Day period and into the beginning of September. Completing the foundations, backfilling the foundations after the 7-day concrete cure time, relocating a utility pole, and preparing for the pouring of the interior slabs. Subsequent to this, as we get on into the later part of September, is when you actually start to see the building take some shape and come up out of the ground, and we'll look forward to those further updates. But unless you have a question about the West Brattleboro station, just can report that we're basically on track with that.
Any questions about the West Brattleboro Station? Next.
I'll save the police station for last, even though it's next in the memo, because that's the most substantive piece of this tonight, and you have a presentation that Ray Giolito will make here in a moment. So I'd just like to note for the record that there haven't been any, in the other parts of the project, not just at West Brattleboro, but in the other parts of the project as well, there haven't been any uses of owner's contingency or any other financial actions that I've needed to take since the last update, nor are we asking you for any this evening. And we included in the memorandum the schedule of upcoming public meetings. I'll keep doing that until we get deeper into the fall because we have so many coming up. Between September 14th with the Police Fire Facilities Building Committee meeting to review the police station construction plans, and December 6th, when you'll be reviewing and hopefully approving the guaranteed maximum price for the police station construction. There are actually 7 additional public meetings coming up in these weeks ahead. Will there be opportunities for the committee and the select board and the public to take an increasingly deep dive into these various project elements. The other item this evening is, and the main event under this agenda item is Ray Giolito, the architect for the 3 parts of our project, is here to present the site plan and the floor plan and the building elevations for the proposed police station at 62 Black Mountain Road. You see in the backup and in your administrative report that the Police Fire Facilities Building Committee has recommended approval of these as they are being presented to you tonight. And we're asking for you to also grant approval so that we can move forward to the DRB with this set of plans.
Ray, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening.
Unless anybody on the board's got any questions. Go ahead.
I've been asked to sit so that I don't stand in the way, so you'll find my back on occasion. What I'd like to do first is take you through the site plan at Black Mountain Road. We come off Black Mountain Road on the upper right side of the plan here. North is up. The darker pavement here is where we will be removing existing pavement, doing some regrading. We will be creating an area here for parking of patrol vehicles, an impound, enclosed impound lot, and just reworking some of the pavement here. If you know the site, there is a loading dock in this location that drops down below floor level. We'll be filling that in because, as you'll see on the plans, that will be the entrance to the Sally Port. We'll also be doing some regrading in the front. If you recall, the grade comes up about 4 or 5 feet. And to keep the building a little bit more secure so that people don't come up the grade and get on the roof of the police facility, we're reducing the grade there so that that won't happen. At the south side of the facility at Black Mountain Road, there will be a radio tower and a generator. And these have since moved over to the left as we got into a little more detail. So what we actually submit to DRB will have a little bit more detail there. And we have done some more planting and such. There will be a post and beam fence across the north side here where the patrol vehicles are. There'll be signage at this point, basically telling people that no one other than police vehicles are permitted beyond that point. And it also states that this, as well as the rest of the building, will be under surveillance. So the main entrance is where it currently is. Public can park in the lot or in visitor spots here and come down to the main entrance. Which takes us to...
Before you
Yes.
Move on from that slide,
Yes.
there's going to be post and beam fence essentially on the north side. The impound lot, is that going to be gated?
It will have a chain link fence as well as a chain link roof.
Good. Other areas of the site were going to be chain link fence, or
No.
it's going to be open around the building except for the post and beam and the impound lot?
That's it. And there'll be a sign at the post and beam, basically don't go beyond it
Right.
because it's police.
Right. Dick?
Two questions. The tenant space,
Yes.
I see where their entrance is on the, which would be the south side of the building.
No, that would not, you mean here?
That's Would that be the south side of the building?
Yes.
So I do not see any sidewalk from the parking area front side of the building where they would be.
Correct.
Is there any plans for some sort of sidewalk?
Yes, there is. The tenant space, as it's still in a bit of development, but there would be the sidewalk would continue on, and the tenant entrance would be approximately where that red dot is.
So you're going to move the entrance from where it's shown on the drawing right here to the east side of the building?
Yes, it would be created in one of the existing windows would be removed in the tenant space.
And the other thing that I don't notice here is different areas of egress from some of the rooms and certainly the tenant space.
Yes.
Can you expound a little bit more
It'd be
about?
easier for me to show you that on the floor plans.
Okay.
What I can tell you is we have since shown a walk coming all the way around the east side and across the south, because there are some exits in the center of the building on the south, and that would then have a walk available when the tenant space is developed, so that there will have an entrance. But I can show you where the exits are on the floor plan.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Any other question about the site plan?
Can I just ask one quick question? And I know this is probably yes, but I don't know, what's the handicapped accessibility getting in the reformer now? Is there like a button there? I can't remember.
There are accessible parking spaces
Yeah.
here, and everything is at grade, so you come up the walk and you go right into the building, so it's all...
But you don't have a button to have the door open automatically?
No.
Have we
And-
considered doing that?
Well, we don't need to. It's not required.
But just because it's required doesn't mean we don't have to do it. I just say that as somebody who had somebody come into our office, the office that I work in, and were complaining that there was a new building that was built or a building downtown that was renovated. I won't mention which one it was, but they don't have the push button. So if somebody, I don't know if we have to do that. I don't know, but I know it was an issue.
It's not required by code
Uh-huh.
in Vermont to have an automatic opener at an accessible entrance.
Uh-huh.
It is in New Hampshire, but the main entrance is required in New Hampshire to be an automatic opener. But it's not required as long as you comply with the force to open the door and the distance between doors in the vestibule.
Right. But the thing is, we have the push button thing here.
I'm more than happy to bring it up at the next.
Right. I mean, and to get into the municipal center,
That's
there's a
because-
push.
That's because of the way the door operates and the
Uh-huh.
small
Right.
space between the door and the...
I would like it brought up, because I actually am really concerned that we're putting money into a new building, and we're not going to have something that,
No, I'll be happy to bring it up.
I mean, I don't know what the expense of it is, and maybe that's an
That's what
issue.
we can find out.
It's not overly...
Right.
I just think it's important as a recognition
Yeah,
that
it's a
some
good-
people can't open the door.
A good point.
Well, we'll look forward to having a report back in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That would be
About
great.
feasibility and added expense for
Right.
making that change.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. This is the floor plan. What you see on the south side in white and gray is, the white is space that the town would have for some future use, and the gray is approximately where the tenant space would be. And to follow up on your question, once the tenant space is developed, the entrance would be cut out of this window here, and you can see there's an exit there, exit here, and exit here from the future space, and exiting from the police facility is through the lobby and through this area which currently exists as it's a raised wooden platform which will be removed, and the grade will all be raised so that you are exiting right out to grade at that point. So to take you through the floor plan, this would be the new lobby where we have chairs, space for people to enter and fill out forms. There'd be a transaction window here for records, which is here, a transaction window for people to talk with folks in dispatch, and a safe room where someone could come in off the street go into the safe room, they would essentially be locked in at that point, and then an officer could come in from the hallway. So the secure perimeter, if you will, when you enter the lobby is these two walls, and of course the exterior walls. Anything beyond this door or through the safe room is essentially in the heart of the police facility. As I mentioned, dispatch would be right off the lobby, essentially providing the same services that they do now. Of two dispatch stations with a third supervisory station, office, and their support spaces. As we go further to the left from dispatch, we have main record storage. The heart of the facility for IT would be behind dispatch. Locker rooms, and then games and fitness center here. Across the hallway, I mentioned there's records and record storage and workroom. The administrative area, which would be the administrative assistant, the chief, the assistant to the captain, conference room in here. And then on this side, in the green, is essentially the entire patrol area with patrol workstations, roll call, weapons storage, weapons cleaning, the sergeants and lieutenants' offices and storage here. The duty bags would be stored here, so an officer would come in at the start of their shift, locker room, workout, however they want to, whatever their activity is, they can use their workstation, go to the roll call, grab their duty bag, and out to their cars. As I mentioned before, the sally ports, we have two garages which are essentially existing. The doors need to be a little bigger to accommodate the vehicles, but we have two sally port locations with a wire mesh screen in between the two, so that this side could be used for sally port if there happen to be two vehicles coming in, or for some forensics on a vehicle that might be impounded. From the sally port, you enter into the processing or booking area. There's a decontamination room, an interview room, the breathalyzer, and of course you've got 3 cells. One cell here is directly off the booking area, which would be female, and then 2 male cells. There's need to be gender and acoustical separation. Behind the processing and booking area are detectives with workstations, a forensic room, interview rooms, observation room between the 2 interview rooms, tactical gear storage, evidence storage, so you've got evidence drop and then evidence processing, and a secure evidence storage for the more sensitive items such as drugs and weapons, and a break room, and a quartermaster for storage of uniforms. So it's a fairly straightforward, linear layout, and we have vetted it many times with the chief and the captain and some of the other staff, and we're in the process of preparing this for construction right now, and this will be the drawing that would go to DRB for their approval.
Ray, are we doing anything in between the police station and the rental space on that wall?
We are. There is an existing wall here that was the original exterior wall of the building.
Right.
That happens to be reinforced concrete block and brick, so it's appropriately secure.
Mm-hmm.
There are some openings in it that we will fill in with concrete block. On some locations, we will be filling in with metal stud with a bullet-resistant fiberglass panel.
Okay.
So it's basically going to be secure.
Good.
And one of the reasons why, 2 reasons why we moved the radio tower to this location. One is, if it falls down, it has to fall down on the property, so that's the location that it needed to be. But also, we wanted to make sure that we didn't go over the tenant space. So the wiring from the radio antennas will come across the roof, make a turn, and go down into the IT room here, as opposed to going inside the building or over the tenant space.
If it falls down, Ray.
Right, you do not want it to, but there'll be a 7-foot deep concrete blob under the radio tower, so we hope it will not fall down.
Okay.
I have a couple of questions. First off, as to the Sally Port, it's also directed to the chief. There's 2 bays, and it's listed one for cruiser and one for ambulance. Do you envision that it's really just one is used as Sally Port for cruiser for transporting a prisoner in, and then the second bay is for a special response vehicle that might need to be inside? Or you view it as 2 bays in the Sally Port?
It's 2 bays in the Sally Port. We just showed that for Ray and his team to make it large enough.
The mic. He's pointing at the mic, not
Oh,
strange ancestors.
yes, it's 1 bay with 2 Sally Ports, and we just put the ambulance one in there to show that it has to be large enough, so if we need a rescue call, that fire and ambulance can pull into the bay.
So then, I just happened to be touring up at the Westminster Barracks last week, and I noted that just like this here, from the further Sallyport Bay that's got the ambulance designation in it, you have to make your way through the other Sallyport and then into the booking room. And I'm wondering whether any thought was given to having direct access from both Sallyport bays right into the booking room space, because it seemed a little bit difficult to maneuver to have to make your way into the second bay at the Sallyport and then make your way into the booking room. So I whatever decision is made, it's fine. I just wanted to raise that as an inquiry that's been thought about intentionally.
I can answer. Okay. Yeah. Oh, does it work? Okay. From a security perspective.
I'm sorry, Ray. You need to get the mic back from
Oh, I
the
guess
chief.
it's not working.
It's not working.
Oh,
Well, it's because it's not plugged in, maybe?
maybe broken.
I mean, I wondered when it came off. I didn't think we had, remote capabilities.
I don't know, she pulled it off.
Yeah, well, I saw that. I didn't ask.
We're not that advanced yet.
From a security perspective, it's better to have one entrance from the Sallyport into the processing area than to have the potential of a vehicle, say, for example, being pulled apart for forensics, and someone potentially opening a door into the booking area. It just prevents another way for someone that's in the booking to cause an issue.
And then my other question has to do with dispatch. I seem to recall that a significant investment was contemplated in new dispatch equipment. Can you please speak to that so we just have some sense about the upgrades that are going to be happening in that?
It's in process of developing what needs to be done there. It's apart from the construction, it's a separate line item.
Okay.
And what we will be doing architecturally and engineering-wise is coordinating with the potential vendors to make sure that the infrastructure's there. But that will be a separately priced bid project, a piece of the project. Basically, we're going to get a...
Now that the mic's working, you might as well speak into it, please.
Basically, we're going to get away from that large dispatch console that they have downstairs and pretty much, for lack of better terms, a window-based dispatch center. So you won't have that huge console. A lot of it will be just monitors, window-based.
Is that a separate item that we're going to be approving separately? Or is that going to be part of the guaranteed maximum price bid?
No, we don't anticipate it being in the guaranteed maximum price, do we? I think that's going to be part of outfitting afterwards.
What we're required to do is, I'll say, provide the pathways for the wiring.
Right.
But the installation and the responsibility of setting it up would be a separate vendor, which is appropriate in this case.
But all the upgraded and new dispatch equipment is within the budget that we've approved?
That's correct.
Good.
Yep, there's a separate line for that.
Anybody else have any questions or anything?
I'd like to just note something. I know that our main concern is the police department space, but Mr. DeGrasse asked a question earlier, and it worth pointing out, I think, in terms of the tenant space here, that for code reasons, after some additional review with the tenant and architect, instead of that one door on the south side that you see, it'll actually be the northernmost of those two windows on the east side is going to become a door. That'll be the main entrance into the tenant space. And then there'll be a second door further down in the tenant space to provide the second means of ingress and egress. But the main way that people will get in and out of the reformer is through the door that'll be created in what is now the northernmost of those two windows.
It's actually displayed well in the next picture as well from the outside. You can see that second.
Yeah, you can see the
window on the right.
The two taller windows. That's right. And also, just for reference, everybody's familiar with the Brattleboro Reformer logo lettering that's on that east facade now as you enter into the building. That's going to remain but be moved down to the corner of the building, so it'll be above the entrance into the tenant space.
Any other questions from anyone on the board about the floor plan? Ready, you want to talk?
Yeah, one question, was there ever any discussion, we have numerous vehicles that sit out here in the parking lot, of building some sort of shell to at least protect the vehicles from, the winter elements, similar to what's in the Harmony parking lot for the tenants there?
Yeah, you and the chief are thinking alike. He actually has proposed that. There's a number of different things that all the three of the facilities actually that are not included within the program that's been approved, but which we might be able to afford to do with contingency funds when we get nearer to the end of the job and we know what funds are available. So that is on that list for this facility, that there could be a carport so that in the, to get them out of the rain and get them out of the snow in the winter months, not just for the protection of the vehicles, but also the ease of, particularly in the winter months, of, getting into the vehicle and getting off to the emergencies.
That was brought up at one of the committee meetings.
Yep.
Thank you.
Any other questions about the floor plan? Elevations, please.
All right, I'm going to say it because Kate's driving me crazy down here. She has a problem with
But it's nothing, we can't do anything about it.
I know we can't, but she's having a problem with.
I just think it's weird that the locker rooms are located right in the middle of, when people are going to be going out in their workout wear, by the chief and chief's room and going down into the fitness thing. I recognize there's nothing you can do about it, so I was not going to mention it. I mean, you're just going to have people in workout wear walking around by the chief and everything. And I feel like there's nothing we can do about it.
And the only reason, because I've been listening to her for the last 10 minutes, going, this is driving me crazy.
Well, I just sort of think it's...
Having the showers there.
Yeah.
And I know now it's on a different level, so there's not the...
She'd rather have them in the basement like we have now.
the non-existent basement. No, I mean, you're just conducting business and people are going to be walking
Chief,
around.
can you put her mind at ease with any of this?
You can't see them from home. People won't be walking around.
Okay.
They have walkers in there, they'll go in there, they'll come in their civilian attire, work out.
But you can't get to the workout room without going through the main corridor.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Do you see what I'm saying? If you're in the men or women's locker room, to get to where the fitness is, you have to walk in the main corridor where people are going to be coming in doing business with the chief or deputy chief, or going into the patrol room workstation. And again, I know we can't do anything about it, but it's just an observation.
Then I think we should close every beach in America.
Well,
Put mirrors in so nobody's...
No, I just think, I'm just raising it. I'm not saying to do the whole plan over. I'm just saying it's something I noticed.
there actually was an earlier version of this where the detectives were pushed up towards the front, and that light blue space, as you see it on the plan, that's got the locker rooms and the fitness room, was pushed back into that back corner. And for operational reasons, it was considered better to, you remember back during the decision-making time, there was a lot of discussion about workflow, and how the different units of the department communicate with one another. And this was preferred by the department as a better way for them to function with the investigative unit backed by the booking in the evidence area. So,
How many people are working out at one time?
2, 3, and that's being
That's a
done.
high number. So it's not like it's a gym class.
Right. No, I was just thinking, it's
Well,
just,
when they have their step aerobics, they're going to be, You guys have got it easy down there, okay? I just want to let you know.
I remember way too many questions about workout room
Yep.
a couple of years ago, so I'm saying nothing. I'm glad it's gone. I'm glad it's there.
Please.
So we have the north and east elevations, which are, of course, in black and white. But what you can see here are the new sally port doors. And there is an existing roof here that if you've been out to the facility, is over a wood deck for brakes, I would imagine, for reformer. We're keeping that roof, and we're creating a couple of storage rooms there. And so if you look at the 3D here, as the town manager was saying, this is the window that would be the entrance to the tenant space. The square windows would be all new. They're up high, again, for security reasons. You'll see that this is the earth berm that's been removed. We've got some new concrete masonry veneer here, because what happens is when we remove the earth, the foundation is exposed, so we have to cover that. And so we'll bring that all across, construct the 2 storage rooms the same way. The entrance we will be replacing the glass and the framing there, but the entrance itself will remain as is. The roof remains untouched. This is the other roof that remains untouched. The existing roof is in reasonably good shape. And just a sign, which would be the shoulder patch from PD, would be the sign to identify the building. So the exterior work on the building is fairly minimal, but we think it'll be certainly an attractive building as you drive in.
Dick?
How old is it? You're saying the roof's in good shape?
Yes, it was. The roof over the addition was done in 1999, I believe, 2000. That's a single-ply roof. It's in decent shape. The roof in the front was recoated a year ago with a new aluminum coating. And
So what's the life expectancy of both of those?
the single-ply membrane could go 25 years, so it's got some more life in it. And my understanding from the building maintenance fellow that we met with is that they've been recoating the other roof as necessary, and the coating looks like to be in decent shape. So the plan is, and the budget does not include replacing the roof. We'll obviously be cutting some holes in it for some new mechanical, but that's all.
Now, as I look at this picture and being up there a couple of times, where the sally port is, isn't there a kind of a dip from where the
There is.
main vestibule, and you're going to bring that all up to grade?
Correct.
And
What we're looking at is what we cut out here will be used to fill over here.
okay,
There'll be some, it's not quite enough, there'll be some off-site material, but.
okay.
And drainage will work just as it does now. Everything flows to the back of the building. There's a retention back there, and it'll all be sheet flow, just the way it is, and it eventually goes out onto state property.
Any other questions about the elevations? So we've had presentation of the exterior site plan, the floor plan, and the building elevations. Is there any more inquiry from Mr. Giolito about the design for the police station at 62 Black Mountain Road?
Just one quick one, Ray, and can we go back to the first page?
Site plan?
Yep, site plan. So on the main parking lot, I know we had discussed about an overlay because that, but, huh?
it floods, no parking lot.
Well, yeah, it does a lot of things, but it's in pretty rough shape right now.
Yes.
And then we had talked, I think, during the meeting that an overlay was not recommended for that. But are we still going to try to do something with that parking lot, either shrink it up or?
Right. It's the overlay is one of those items that's not included in the program.
Right.
We do have some additional consideration we need to give to whether the lot needs to be that large or whether we want to reclaim
Right.
some green space on the north side.
Yep.
So those will be issues we'll continue to work through, and at some later date,
Okay.
decide
I didn't
whether there
know
are
if
funds
we made any
available
kind
to
of-
make those changes.
Okay.
It
good.
does flood. I don't know if anybody's been in there after a rainstorm. It turns into a lake. I don't know if you guys have noticed that, but you might want to,
Okay.
because I've been up there when it's a lake and you can't park in that.
Go up after the
section.
next
Which
heavy
actually
rain and
raises
see.
a question that I have. And parking spaces allotted for the tenant,
Yes.
is that part of the negotiations that you'll get X number of spaces?
The-
Or is it first come, first serve? Or how's that going to work?
Right, they're not going to be designated spaces. They would be in that main, what we've been referring to in the last few minutes as the main part of the lot there. You can see with the red dot. So everything in the gray shaded area of the parking is going to be restricted to police only. And then there's visitor parking for either the police department or the tenant right there. That's closer to the building. And then spillover visitor parking plus all the employee parking for both the town and the tenant out in the main lot.
Is there one handicap spot there? Or
There are two.
There are two.
Yep.
Is there, would there be a potential for three? Because you certainly have people that go to the reformer. And you're going to have people that are going to, potentially be going to the police station. So, to me, why not have 3 handicaps? I think there's 3 spaces there, or 4 right now?
There's 5.
There are 5
Yeah,
spaces.
5 spaces.
At least make at least three of those handicaps?
You can. But right now what's there is what's required, but we can certainly entertain restriping and put another. We'd lose 2 spaces if we did an accessible space, another accessible space.
If you'd like, we could broaden the analysis we've been asked to do regarding the button. We're going to come back with some cost information and talk about whether or not to have it be a button-operated door rather than a pull door. It's right in the theme in terms of accessibility for us to also look at the number of handicap spaces.
Well, when I look at the size of the existing lot, that's
Right.
it's really adequate. That's really adequate for
Right.
everyone. And
else, yeah.
so having one more handicap space, just because of the nature of what's going to be going on there simultaneously with the police department, you have a news organization that has 2 spaces now that I think are handicapped. And so we're going to add the police department, and you're only keeping 2 spaces. Why wouldn't we add at least one more?
Right.
We'll look
That's-
forward in 2 weeks to hearing
Right.
your analysis of both the push-button option for the door and adding another handicap spot. I would ask that as part of that consideration, we also think about the fact that people who are coming to the police station in an emergency may want to pull right up to the station instead of being back in the lot. So having 3 handicap spots and only one one spot that's open for the general public might not be optimal. But if we could just have some analysis of that and consideration of that issue, that'd be good.
Well, that should leave us 2, though. 2
No, it's.
There won't be
right
enough
now
room to,
there's-
not without putting in more pavement.
Right.
So you have to mark it. You have to have more space.
You have to take
between
2
the
out for
spaces.
the next
Right,
handicap
1,
spot.
2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 places now, and 2 of them are handicapped.
Right, but the handicap spaces are wider.
Oh, that's right, you gotta have that.
Right.
Yes.
So if we can just have an analysis
I
of
got
that, some
Yeah.
discussion of that.
Oh, see, I got you.
Anything else on the site plans, the elevations and floor plans?
Can I have something that may not be germane right now, and you could just tell me that it's not?
Go for it.
Signage on Black Mountain Road, is that
Yep.
another issue for another day?
No, the design of it we'll bring back to you before implementing, before installing anything. But the plan is to have signage down at Black Mountain and Putney Road to have an arrow pointing up Black Mountain Road, telling people that that's where the police station is located, and then a more of a sign. Those would be kind of street signs with the label and the arrow. And then more of a welcoming sign that would be actually at the entrance to the driveway that's on Black Mountain Road. There'd also be some kind of a sign out there still for the reformer as well. So we've got to work together to figure out exactly how those two signs will work together. And then as you come into the driveway and up to the building, it would be the badge identifying the entrance into the police station, or not the badge, but the patch identifying the entrance into the police station, and then the reformer logo lettering identifying where their entrance is.
Any other inquiries? Looks like we're ready for motion.
God, we made one tonight?
So I think the motion is to approve the Brattleboro Police Department site plan, floor plan, and exterior elevations as presented for submission to the Development Review Board.
So moved.
Now, wait, can I ask a question? Oh, I'm sorry.
Any further discussion? Yes, Kate?
Do those other things that we were talking about have to be included with what goes to the DRB?
No.
Okay.
No, we actually had a detailed discussion of those kinds of things with Rod Francis present with the committee, and his determination was that there are minor changes to the site plan that could be approved administratively once those decisions get made months from now.
Okay. I'm sorry to...
No, that's a good point. It was actually discussed at some length at the committee.
Any other inquiries? We have a motion to approve the site plan, floor plan, and exterior elevations as presented. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed or abstaining? That carries 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good work. Under new business, A is Town Health Officer. Mr. Elwell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So congratulations for the second time this evening to Assistant Chief Len Howard. As you know, for the time being, one part of the job of Assistant Fire Chief is to be the town's health officer. And in this transitional process, as is described in more detail in the memorandum dated August 29th from me to you on this topic, we actually had a sequence of events go on. It relates in part to the transition from Pete Lynch to Len Howard as Assistant Chief, and in part to the normal cycle of people's positions as health officer or assistant health officer expiring and then reappointments occurring, and in largest part due to the fact that the state only takes action on these items once a month. And so it's the beginning of each new month that someone is actually officially recognized by the state as being either a local health officer or assistant health officer. And in the meantime, if there is an expiration or a departure of a health officer so that that position is vacant in a community, it falls by default to the chair of the select board to be the health officer. So we had 5 days. We had 5 days at the end of August when David was officially the health officer of the town of Brattleboro.
I wish I knew that. God, I would have definitely got him out on a couple of calls.
Composted Brattleboro.
In order that transitional time wouldn't have to be a month and 5 days, we actually sent the paperwork on to the state already requesting that Len be designated as the health officer effective on September 1. So the only action required by the select board this evening, please, is if you would ratify the action already taken by the chair and the staff.
I think we should all vote no on this one, just for the heck of it.
I move to ratify the appointment of the Assistant Fire Chief Leonard Howard III to the position of Town Health Officer effective September 1.
Lenny, what's it worth to you, buddy?
A lot.
Is there any discussion?
Oh, there's a lot, but
Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? That carries 5-0.
oh, you pushed that one.
Sometimes you lose when you win.
Next matter on the agenda is the survey for Minshall Street
There
Trail.
they go.
See you guys. Thanks for coming. Congratulations again.
Congratulations, buddy.
Town Attorney Bob Fisher has requested a survey of Minshall Street, and as Patrick laid out in his memorandum dated August 29th, the reason why Bob thinks that a survey is required at Minshall and is not required at the other two locations that you recently dealt with in terms of road classification is because of the more substantive change that occurred there. So up at Wikipedia, there was a substantive change, but it didn't modify the width of the roadway, it just modified the classification. At Bittersweet, you decided not to make any change at all. And here at Minshall, a portion of the road is going to remain public as a trail, and the other portion of the road is actually going to turn into private land. And so he thought it was prudent that we have a survey to document exactly where these, which portions are which going forward, so it'll be easy for people to see if there's any kind of a dispute in the future. So we don't anticipate that this is going to cost more than a few $1,000s. It'll be something I can implement within my authority if you just authorize us to proceed to complete such a survey.
Any questions about the request for authority to conduct a survey at Minshall Street?
Seems like a good idea.
One of these, it does, it seems like it's one of these things where I was kind of looking at that saying, how are they ever going to figure out where that was?
Where everything
Now I
goes.
see why they put that in there.
Yeah.
It's a really good idea.
Ready for motion, please.
To commission a survey depicting the highway right-of-way for the Minshall Street Trail and depicting the limits of the abutters right-of-way over the discontinued portion of Minshall Street.
We have a motion to commission a survey relating to the Minshall Street reclassification and abandonment. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? That carries 5-0. The next items on the agenda are amendments to our Code of Ordinances relating to parking spaces and trailer parks. So we previously had a first reading on the amendments to the street and parking space Code of Ordinances. And I guess what we'll do is we'll open the public hearing, and then we will have our second reading of the proposed amendments. And I'll just walk through them quickly. The proposed amendments include changing the parking spaces on Canal Street to conform what the ordinance says to what currently exists on Canal Street near Homestead Place. Same thing on Oak Street, to put in the ordinance that there's no parking on the east side of Oak Street from High Street to Chapin Street, and then to memorialize the turnarounds at the end of Chestnut Street East, Chestnut Street West, end of Hillwinds, end of Hillwinds North, end of Meeting House Lane, end of New England Drive that we agreed to build 2 or 3 years ago, and at the end of Timber Lane. And then also to designate the parking space nearest to the library entrance on Main Street as a limited time parking for 15 minutes. That is the second reading of the proposed changes to the Brattleboro Code of Ordinance, Appendix C, Article 2. Is there anybody in attendance who wants to speak to those proposed ordinance changes? James.
Without James.
No, he doesn't really want to. Anybody on the board have any comments or suggestions about those proposed changes to the Code of Ordinances, Appendix C?
I don't know, the Oak Street one kind of bothers me a little bit because that's right in front of the O'Connor's house. And, so I don't know. No, got nothing.
We're ready for a motion, please. Well, I guess you close the public hearing. And now we're ready for motion, please.
To approve the changes to Brattleboro Code of Ordinance, Appendix C, Article 2, Section 16-100 and 16-101, as presented.
We have the motion to approve the changes to the Code of Ordinances relating to parking spaces. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? That carries 5-0. The next item on the agenda is to have a public hearing and second reading relating to the mobile homes section of the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 12. I open the public hearing relating to the proposed amendment. In summary, we're deleting the entirety of Chapter 12 of the Brattleboro Code of Ordinances relating to mobile homes, trailer coaches, mobile home and trailer parks, because it's been superseded by Vermont statute. Is there anybody in attendance who wants to speak to the proposed repeal of Chapter 12 of the Brattleboro Code of Ordinances? Is there anybody in attendance who wants to speak to the amendment? Hearing none. I close the public hearing. We're ready, please, for a motion.
Move to repeal Chapter 12, mobile homes, trailer coaches, mobile home and trailer parks of the Town of Brattleboro Code of Ordinances.
Well,
We have a motion to repeal Chapter 12 of the Brattleboro Code of Ordinances. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? That carries 5-0. Next matter on the agenda is a request from the Vermont Municipal Employees Retirement System. Peter?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There's a large number of actions that we're taking and forms that we're completing and things that need to be signed and exchanged with VMERS as part of the transition and from the town's defined contribution pension system to the defined benefit system as offered by VMERS Plan B for the civilian employees, as you approved earlier this summer. All of the rest of it, as far as we know, has been and can be approved administratively. This item before you is not something that is changing anything from what we've previously discussed about this transition or the benefits of making this change, but is simply an official confirmation that we understand that more than just base salary will qualify for the pension calculation, and therefore will be not only part of determining what amount of pension is received by employees, but also the cost to the town and the cost to the employees for their participation in the program. We did know this before, and all of the calculations that we did in estimating the savings for the town were based on this knowledge. So, and in addition to that, the definition of what is pensionable wages for VMERS is the same as what has qualified for participation in the Lincoln program. So it's just a ministerial act this evening. We need for you to approve having the chair of the board execute the form that indicates that the select board acknowledges that total compensation will be the definition that's used for calculating, for the pension calculating purposes.
Does anybody on the board or anybody who's in attendance have any inquiry about the request by VMERS that we acknowledge the meaning of total compensation? Hearing none, we're ready for motion, please.
to acknowledge that for the purpose of reporting employee compensation to VMERS, that the town will report total compensation, meaning all taxable earnings, including overtime.
We have a motion to acknowledge to the Vermont Municipal Employees Retirement System that total compensation means all compensation. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? That carries 5-0.
I missed something, didn't I? Did I read it wrong?
No, you got it.
There you go.
That's good.
Okay.
We are looking, please, for a nomination to pick Peter Elwell as...
I move that we appoint Town Manager
Thank you.
Peter Elwell as voting delegate for the annual VLCT business meeting.
We have a motion to appoint Peter as the delegate to the VLCT meeting. Any discussion? Any further nominations? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? That carries 5-0. Finally, we have some committee appointments. I move to nominate Tim Maciel to a 4-year seat on the Conservation Commission, Bethany Ranquist to a 3-year seat on the Park and Recs Board, and Leo Schiff to a 2-year seat on the Traffic Safety Committee. Are there any further nominations for those open committee vacancies? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? That carries 5-0. Is there any other business to come in front of the meeting? We're ready for motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have a motion to adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? That carries 5-0. I want to thank all of the firefighters and their families who came out this evening. That was really nice to see that show of support for the new Assistant Brattleboro Fire Chief. I want to thank everybody who's been watching the meeting, both live and rebroadcast. I want to thank the BCTV operators, a member of the press, ASL interpreters, and all staff members who have supported us tonight. Have a good night. Thank you.